morning, guys, and welcome to the channel. As you can see right behind me, we got the new 2020 C8 Corvette. I've been bringing the Corvette out to some meets. People love this car. This car pulls a crowd just about anywhere you go. But anyway, today's video is about, I was reading the comments on the previous video or the video before that where I was putting the 2 quarts of oil in the dual clutch transmission of this car. Some people were saying like dumb comments like, oh, if you can't afford to bring the car to the dealership, then you shouldn't have the car, and saying nonsense like that. You have to understand, look, it has nothing to do with being able to afford it. You're crazy if you don't think I could afford 2 quarts of oil at a dealership. In fact, I bought my oil from the dealership. Yes, the 2 quarts of oil were like $100, which I think was a complete ripoff, but hey, it is what it is. The issue is this: I didn't bring the car to the dealership to get the work done because, well, I'm gonna give you a really great example right now. Check this out. This is the reason why I don't bring it to the dealership. As you can see, you have a brand new 2020 C8 Corvette that looks like it's probably, I'm guessing it might even be totaled. I don't know if it is totaled, but it is completely wrecked. And this poor customer brought it to the dealership, and because the dealership was either being lazy and was too lazy to look up in the manual of how to properly lift the car up in the air, well, it looks like the car pretty much just fell off the lift and it caused a ton of damage. I'm gonna put a screenshot of the proper lift points also, just in case somebody is gonna be bringing their car to the dealer or to your local mechanic. Make sure that they know where the proper lift points are on the C8 Corvette. But guys, keep in mind, look, that's the reason why. When I went to go buy the transmission oil for the car, I called multiple dealerships asking them, hey, have your guys been trained yet on the C8 Corvette? And most of the dealerships kind of hesitated. They were stuttering like, oh, I'm not sure. But we have very qualified mechanics. And I'm like, you know how many times I've heard we have very qualified mechanics, and those same very qualified mechanics have destroyed my vehicles in the past? Remember, this is the 4th Corvette I own. I had my last Corvette, the C706. I had a very qualified mechanic that had 20 years experience, and they told me, hey, don't worry about it. This guy, he's really good. He's the best guy we have. He ended up cracking the wheel, and I made the dealership buy me a brand new wheel. So you always hear like these nightmare stories, and my story is not even that much of a nightmare, it's just a wheel. Now this guy, this is a nightmare story. Look at this. The Corvette fell off the rack because I guess they didn't, you know, lift it up the proper way. I preferred a million times to bring it to my boy Will at Parts and Polish, because he's been working on Corvettes like the majority of his life. He does everything. He works on all kinds of cars, and he's been working on my Corvette since like 2006. 2006 is when I bought my first Corvette, and he was doing the work on that one. And it's just very rare. It's very rare that I come across a mechanic that I still go to after 5-10 years, because at some point, you know, something happens, something messed up happens, and they stop going to that place. And it's basically what it boils down to. I'm not saying don't bring your cars to the dealership. You just have to know which dealerships to bring it to. In fact, if there's anybody here that works with dealerships and wants to get in contact with me, let me know, because I would love to have like a relationship with different dealerships. When I see different ones, I mean, I would love to have like a Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler dealership that I mess with and I bring my cars, because if my subscribers see that I'm bringing my cars to this specific dealership, I know my other Hellcat and Mopar buddies are going to bring their cars also to that dealership, and they're going to buy cars and they're going to get their cars serviced at that spot. Now, as we all know, not all dealerships are equal. You got some really bad ones, you got some shady ones, and then you got some really good ones. So I would love to not only have relationships with like a Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler dealership, but a Chevy dealership, a Ford dealership. So if anybody out there is watching, let me know. You can send me a DM on Instagram, jamescrides.official, and we'll set something up. This way, eventually, the goal for me would be to have the dealerships that I trust, and certain people's names possibly also that are associated with those dealerships, in the description below of all my videos. This way, you know, people know where to go. I don't know what the situation is with this guy, but another very, I say, novice comment that I'm seeing in the description below, and I'm seeing this on both of my channels, on my JMC Rides and my JMC Mundo. The JMC Mundo channel is the Spanish version of this one. Basically, people are like, oh, well, it's not a big deal. If the dealership messed it up, they'll just get you a new car. I'm sorry to tell you, that is not how it works. Usually, my experience, what I've seen is, I'm gonna tell you how it works. A lot of these dealerships, what they'll end up doing is, they're gonna go ahead and they're gonna hit up their local body shop, which is also known as the cheapest possible body shop that'll do the work. And when you pay cheap prices, you get cheap work. Now this doesn't apply to all dealerships, but it does apply to a lot of them. And I would be pissed. Like, I would be so pissed off if my Corvette would have been the one that fell off that rack. Can you imagine you have a brand new Corvette, they destroyed it at the dealership because honestly it's just being lazy. It's not about being dumb or anything like that, because if you don't know how to lift up the car, then just look it up in the manual, look it up in the service manual. I mean, come on, like, lifting up the car should not be that hard. The point is, people sometimes, just because they want to get the customer's car in, bang it out as fast as possible, get the money from the customer, now move on to the next customer. It comes down to laziness and just trying to, you know, turn over customers as fast as possible. Now, I'm not saying this about the dealership that this person had the problem with. I don't even know who that dealership is. I don't know anything other than the pictures that I saw. I'm just speaking in general. In general, from stories that I've heard from my subscribers that reach out to me and they tell me about these nightmare stories, because some people that haven't been through these things, they honestly think, oh yeah, no, the dealership's just gonna give me a new car. Hey, if the dealership gives that guy a new car, then I would say, hey, that dealership is absolutely awesome, and I would bring my car to them and trust them at that point. But in the majority of the time, I know dealerships are gonna try to either get the car repaired under insurance, or maybe they'll pay for it out of pocket, who knows. At the end of the day, what I know is I don't want a car that had to be repaired, because typically the work is not going to be done perfectly. I'm going to be able to see that it's not perfect, and even worse, when it comes time for me to sell the car and they run a Carfax on the car, it's going to come up in the report that the car had some major repair work done, and the next owner is going to offer you even less money. So even if the car did get repaired perfectly, you're still screwed in the sense that, you know, unless the dealership wants to cough up more money on top of fixing the car perfectly, and if they want to cough up extra money for like depreciation, because now that car is going to be worth less when it comes time to trade it in. Not a lot of Corvette owners are going to want to buy a car that had like major repair, you know, damage and stuff like that. But that's what it basically came down to. I brought the car to my guy Will because I trusted him. I trust him, and yes, that was his first time working on a C8. So now if you have a C8 and you want to bring it to him, at least you could be more comfortable because he already worked on mine. But the point is, I didn't want to just bring it to the dealership and risk it, because people think that that's the way it works. Now, if that car is totaled, typically the dealership is not going to get you another Corvette either. That's not the way it works. If the car gets totaled, typically their insurance gets involved. They're going to give you what they think the car is worth, and you're still screwed. You're still, it's a really bad situation to be in. But again, like I said, I don't know anything about this specific dealership. I don't know who the dealership was. I was not there. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I wasn't there. I don't know the specifics of how this happened or why it happened. I'm just speaking in general, overall, from experiences that I've heard from my subscribers, that they've given me like nightmare stories in my email and my DMs and stuff like that, and asking for help and like what they should do, what can they do, that kind of thing. Anyway, that's gonna be it for today's video. Hopefully, you know, you guys be careful where you guys bring your cars. Be real smart about it. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you can sign up for notifications. I got new merch coming out for the channel on JMC Mundo. If people are interested on JMC Rides and would actually support the channel and purchase the merch, let me know, because I could easily bring the JMC Rides merch also on this channel too. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.
Septiembre, por ahí a las 6, pa' tu casa y Netflix, solo a darle play. Era mexicana, me dijiste, wey, mejor que mi novio, si tú que lo haces. Y empezó el contacto, nos fuimos al otro cuarto. Tú eres una novata y te esa mami para ser sensato. Mami, porque a ti te parto, llámame que soy tu gato. Yo no te voté porque hermosa en México soy tu vato.